Sorry for keeping everyone waiting today. All right. So continuing with the class, chapter 10 is actually 1 to 7 is one section, and 8 to 11 is the second section, and 12 to 42 is the third section. 8 to 11 is the most important of the entire Bhagavad Gita. So we need to try and learn those four verses. They are the Chatushloki. And 1 to 7, we have done only the first part of that. There is each section, the section is further subdivided. And the last part is Arjuna's acceptance of Krishna's position and his request. So 1 to 3 is all that we have done as per my memory. We have to start from 4. Anyone knowing Krishna as an unborn? So we did a whole discussion about Aja. It was a very long discussion. I took the whole class and the source of all the sages and demigods, how Krishna is and how he is still undiluted and how he is free from sin. So we looked at all those aspects from 1 to 3. And today we are going to start off with 10.4, 4 to 5. So what is knowledge? Here it talks about Buddhir Jnanam. So you can see from the lecture given by Srila Prabhupada in New York, he talks about what is knowledge, Jnanam. And knowledge is not all these material things we study. Krishna says that knowledge is knowing what the difference between spirit and matter, knowing that there is spirit, accepting that there is a transcendental knowledge, understanding that. So understanding what is spirit and what is matter, rather than thinking that the human body is alive simply because of a big complex combination of some chemicals coming together, it becomes alive. And then we have scientists who try to think that okay, by some combination, stroke of luck, some group of chemicals, they can make it come together and make life happen. But that's not true. They're not understanding that the life happens through a totally different thing called spirit, very subtle thing called consciousness. And that consciousness, that whole study of consciousness is only possible in spirituality, because you can't really, it's not tangible. You can't see it. So you have to listen only through scripture. So there are two kinds of knowledge: the one which comes through experiential knowledge, and the one through comes through Shabda Jnana. You have to get it through listening only. So only through listening this knowledge is possible. So then that is knowledge, when a person actually is able to understand that he is spirit, I am spirit, I'm only covered by matter. And what we make and complete analytical study, when we make and complete analytical study of what is matter, what is spirit, that is actually knowledge. All the material knowledge, any subject matter you undertake is actually temporary. So it's very important to understand that just as the body is temporary, any material knowledge that you may acquire in this birth, you may become a chemist, a physicist, a great astrophysicist, a medical man, an engineer, but all the knowledge you get is temporary. And it will finish as soon as your body is finished. As soon as your body is over, you die, all that knowledge is finished. You forget it, and death itself means forgetfulness. So those were the explanation related to jnana. As to what really is jnana is given by Srila Prabhupada in explanation to this verse. Let's quickly say these verses 10.4 and 5. Buddhir jnanam sammoha kshama satyam damah shama sukham dukkham bhavo bhavo bhayan cha bhayameva cha ahimsa samata tushtih tapo danam yasho yashah bhavanti bhava bhutanam matta eva prathik vidhaha. So continuing on that lecture given by Srila Prabhupada, an explanation to this chapter. Did I stop sharing by mistake? Sorry. Because the spirit does not die, it's eternal, and the spiritual knowledge will continue. It's not like the material knowledge which gets over as soon as a person dies. So if we develop spiritual knowledge, suppose 10% spiritual knowledge you acquire in this body, then that will continue with you even after destruction of this body. That spiritual knowledge will continue with you. And when you get the next body, you will begin from wherever you finish. Suppose you got 10% now. Then in the next birth, you will start with the 11%. So that knowledge will not be lost. That's why Krishna explains in even other verses also that spiritual knowledge that you get by reading the scriptures is a law of nature. And what you get, it gets carried. The soul is able to, retain that information even in the next birth, unlike any material knowledge. So in the Bhagavad Gita, we have studied Swalpam api asya dharmasya trayato mahato bhayat. So in this endeavor, swalpam api, even a little, there is no loss. There is not even a little bit of loss or diminution, and a little advancement, even a little bit. You chant the Hare Krishna mantra even once, suppose in this birth, even that is carried forward. The benefit of that, and it can protect you from the most dangerous type of fear. So if you cultivate spiritual knowledge, even 1%, 2%, that can render you the greatest service, because it will continue. Because once you begin it, it doesn't stop. The best thing is to finish it 10% in this life. So we should all try to finish gaining a spiritual knowledge 10%, because this human life is meant for cultivating spiritual knowledge and not meant for material enjoyment. So that's very important to understand, that that we're not like animals only to here for enjoying material things like eating, sleeping, defending, and mating. So these four principles, they are called material enjoyment. Just like when we see an advertisement. So Srila Prabhupada is saying, the other day he was seeing in New York Times magazine. So all advertisements, he says, are mostly based on mating. That's all. So because mating is the most attractive thing, therefore shopkeepers, they will advertise girls by putting, before one nice girl, before the attraction is, is for mating. So as soon as they see a nice girl, the attention is diverted. So that is psychology. So these are all basically material enjoyments: eating, sleeping, defending, and mating. And spiritual enjoyment is just the opposite. It is not possible to be in a space of material enjoyment and say, you know what, I'm a material, I can enjoy materially and spiritually. The two do not exist together. Only when you understand that sense enjoyment is temporary, and you're able to control it or stop it, or able to buy a higher taste for the beauty of understanding the knowledge related to Krishna, you will itself, your detachment will itself happen. It's a normal thing. You don't need to strive for it extra, because these two things cannot exist together. So that is self-realization or purification of senses. Spiritual enjoyment is purifying of the senses. Sarvopadhi vinirmuktam tat paritvena nirmalam. This is there in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela. It's also part of the nectar of devotion. Sarvopadhi vinirmuktam. You're free from all upadhi. No more you have any designations. I am this, I'm a male, I'm a female, I'm rich, I'm this, I'm Hindu, I'm this caste. That paratvena. And when you give up all that, nirmalam, you become pure. So bhakti or devotional service is engaging all your senses, not in your own enjoyment, but in the service of the Lord. When the spirit soul renders service unto the Supreme, there will be two side effects. One is when you start your devotional life, the more and more you keep doing it, all your material designations will go away. And then your senses become pure, because as you employ it, it becomes more and more pure. So I remember Aishwarya Mataji, in one of her classes, she was speaking. She's a gynecologist doctor also. She's a Bhakti Shastri and Bhakti Vaibhav. She's a very advanced devotee of ISKCON, Mangalore. And she was sharing that earlier, when she used to have these live classes, when she shares, she used to put Dr. Aishwarya and all that. And gradually there was, the doctor, she didn't feel the need to put it. So gradually you don't feel the need to identify yourself with the body and your achievements or anything, because you just want to serve Krishna. So you give up all the designations. That's what happens when your senses become purified. So there is a nice verse in Srimad Bhagavatam. It says, Vridehamadayam sulabham Vridehamadayam sulabham sudurlabham plavam sukalpam Guru karnadharam mayanukulena nabhasvatiritam Puman bhavabdhi nataritsa atmaha. So the meaning of this verse is, the human body, which can award all benefit in life, is automatically obtained by the laws of nature, although it's a very rare achievement. And the human body is compared to a perfectly constructed boat, which, when it's having a spiritual master as a captain and the instructions of the personality of Godhead as a favorable winds, it will be impelled on its course. Considering all advantages, a human being who does not utilize his human life to cross this ocean of material existence and does not realize that he needs to do something for his spiritual progress, then he must be considered the killer of his own soul. He is not working towards the liberation of his soul. He is pushing his own soul back into the Bhavasagara or material world. And so it is like the human body, the soul is actually, it's compared to as if he's causing a death of his soul. So to cross this material existence of Bhavasagara, It means ocean. And to cross this ocean, you have to get very nice ship. What is that ship? The human body, Nrideham. And Sulabham Sudurlabham. Sulabham means this kind of ship you cannot get always. It's a very, very rare thing to get it. This is an opportunity because we do not know what is going to happen in the next life. You don't know what are your desires, what are your karmas accumulated, which is the body you're going to. There's no guarantee that you're even going to be, born as a human being. So you are going to take birth maybe in America or in a human life, but gradual evolutionary process from aquatic to plant to worm, then birds, then beast, then human life. It's a very gradual process. So human form of life is very difficult to get, and by some fortune we have got it. Therefore, sulabham sudurlabham. And you have got this nice ship and Guru Karna Dharam. And so if you've got a nice spiritual master who is a captain, a good captain, and atmosphere is Krishna consciousness created by the Lord, by delivering you the message of Bhagavad Gita, through the Lord is delivering it to you through the master. And you have got this good atmosphere. So you have to compare if the Atlantic Ocean, there is no wind, no hurricane, very good ship, very good captain, and you take the opportunity for crossing. And still, if you don't take the opportunity for crossing, it means like you're just committing suicide. You're not using the opportunity. So you have to cross the Atlantic Ocean patiently. You don't need to be in a hurry also. Just sit down tightly on the ship, take advantage of the opportunity. That's your business. This is called Kshama. Kshama is a very important quality which you need to be tolerant, patient. Suppose somebody has offended you, you excuse him. This is another kind of penance. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu teaches us that first of all, in the Kali Yuga, the way to progress spiritually is to chant. You go like only when you chant, you can do it. But what is the condition for chanting? You need to be considering yourself as lower than a blade of grass, more tolerant than a tree. So that's what we're talking about, Kshama. And not expecting any honor, yet prepared to honor everyone easily. And then you can easily chant the holy name of the Lord. So there are some conditions, We are all into this movement right now, all of us, and we've got the opportunity to listen and understand understand the value of chanting and to start chanting. It's all because of the different sukritis that we have attained. Otherwise, people who don't have that much of pious activities accumulated won't even get the opportunity to understand this knowledge. Not only that, we need to get these qualities. So if we have to progress in chanting, we should be, what is the tune? Rinadapi sunichena tarurapi sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sada hari. If we have to chant all the time, remember Krishna all the time, then we have to be Trinadapi Sunichena, Tarurapi Sarishnuna, Amanina Manadena. These qualities must be there so that we can chant. What kind of tolerant? Like a tree. Don't you think a tree is very tolerant? Everybody commits offense, snatches its twigs, snatches its flowers, takes its leaves, somebody's cutting it. The tree is not protesting. Rather, it will continue supplying fruits and flowers and give you shelter. So it's an example of tolerance which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us. So we should become tolerant like a tree. And Trinadapi Sunijana as forbearing as grass. Like you trample over grass, it still does not protest. So this, he's talking about Trinadapi Sunichana Tarurapi Saishuna Amanina. And you should not be puffed up. Oh, I am this. Oh, I am the boss. Why is he not standing up? Why did he not wish me? You have no desire. I did such a lot. They didn't say anything to me. So these thoughts, used to come earlier before we come to Krishna consciousness. But now we try and remind ourselves, I don't want honor. It's fine. Right? We're not, and we should not even expect it. So you are now apart from your body and your bodily collection. So suppose you're a king in this body, you have no connection with that body. Even if you're the poorest person also, you have no connection with that body. So you don't need to identify, oh, I'm poor, oh, I'm king. So neither are you king nor are you poor because you're not identifying yourself with the body. You are spirit soul, amanina. And so you don't be hankering after temporary honors of the world. You don't want honor. You don't feel bad when you don't get honor, because we don't, that it's not that honor doesn't belong to us. The body itself doesn't belong to us. So Trinadapi Sunichena Tarurapi Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena. But other foolish creature who disturbs you, you should give him honor. Even if the other person is a foolish person who is disturbing you, doesn't mean you will treat him disdainfully. You will give him honor. So, amanina mana dena, still you will give the honor. So, oh sir, very beautiful. You're learning. You don't have to be artificial, but you will give a lot of respect for whatever the other person is. So, in this process, when you do get these qualities, you go on chanting, and nobody will disturb you. Krishna will help you in your journey. So, there was a very nice example which one Prabhu had given. I can't remember the name of the Prabhu, very famous Prabhu. He was talking about, you can't say my father doesn't allow me to chant, because Prahlad, having a father like Hiranyakashipu, continued chanting. You can't say, oh, my husband is not allowing me to chant. Why? Because even the gopis who went against the whole family, and they were able to chant. Or you can't say that my brother or my siblings are not allowing me to chant. Vibhishana, in spite of having Ravana as a brother, was able to chant. So there were so many beautiful examples he gave. You can't give any reasons. When you really want to chant, Krishna will also first of all make way for you. You should just have the desire to chant. So nobody will disturb you, because as soon as you take to spiritual life, there will be disturbances, because Maya or energy will start, trying to test you. He said, now you have declared a war. The moment you have decided that you are going to give up your interest in material desires and you are on the path to going back to Godhead, you don't want to have any more births. You want to finish all the karmas, and your sins will get burnt with chanting, and you go on this path. That means you're declaring war with Maya. So as soon as you become Krishna consciousness, the illusory energy will see and say, oh, this man is going out of my hand, out of my control. Come on, let me give him all impediments. And that is why you need to be tolerant. Otherwise, you cannot continue on your chanting. You can't. We have to understand these qualifications. That is why buddhi, that's why this verse says buddhi, intelligence. So long Prabhupada took to explain that one word, buddhi and jnana. So jnana is knowledge. Asammoha means freedom from illusion. Kshama, forgiveness. Satyam, truth. All these words are coming in this verse. Dhamma, controlling the senses. Sama, to keep the mind equibalanced. Sukham, happiness. Dukham, distress. Bhava, birth. So abhava, death. So bhayam, fear, and abhayam, fearlessness. Ahimsa, which is non-violence. Samata is equality. Tushti, satisfaction. Tapa, penance. Danam means charity. Yash means fame. Ayash means defamation. Bhavanti. All these become. Bhava means it's a state of being. So Bhutanam, of all living beings, Matta, from me. Eva, certainly. Prithak Vida, differently. So Krishna is declaring here that all these qualities you see, it's not only just the good ones, whether it is fear, both fear and fearlessness, ahimsa, non-violence. So many of these qualities he's explaining, he's telling us about him, he's revealing about himself. He says that Krishna has declared, Aham adarhi devana maharshi nam such a sarvasya. In 10.2, he had said that the hosts of demigods, sages, they know that he is the origin. In every respect, he is the source of even them. So they will not even know, everything about Krishna, nor the great sages know my origin. So here Krishna is saying that no one knows my origin, because I am the source of them also. So Krishna is the origin of everything. He must be the cause of all good qualifications and bad qualifications also. Whatever we see in the world, we say this is bad, this is good. And we are dividing it according to our calculation, the way we see things. But actually, there are varied manifestations of qualities of Krishna. Here in the material world, those qualities, transcendental qualities, they are in Krishna and they are in living beings. So just like we all have the qualities, for example, buddhi, intelligence. What is intelligence? Real intelligence is to know that Krishna is supreme, I am part and parcel. This is actually the only knowledge you need to know. They stated here that intelligence means sukharta vivechana samatyam. Suppose one is intelligent to drive a car. That is not what is described here. That is material intelligence for earning bread. Real intelligence is sukhartha. That is the finer sentiments to understand the finer activities of nature. That is buddhi. Just like one is considered to be intelligent when he tries to understand not this physiological or the anatomical construction, when he sees by intelligence what is the principle of the body working behind it, right? So I think I had explained a little bit of this earlier. A child, he will see a motor car. Just imagine a child, if he sees a motor car, he thinks that, oh, the motor car is running on its own. So that is actually not the complete understanding. So the motor car is not running, even if it's a remote control. There's some intelligence behind it. Just like we have a tape recorder, microphone, so many discoveries are there. They're working so nicely. But one should see that the tape recorder or microphone cannot work for a single moment without a spirit soul's touch. There is intelligence in it. And we must try to find out who is working in the machine, who is the intelligence behind it. So, Karta Vivechanam, to see the finer things. Grossly seeing, that's not intelligence. Oh, man is working, man is living, man is writing, he's a scientist. But what are the finer things? Okay, the scientist is actually a fool. The scientist is a fool who doesn't see that. Can science discover something and place it before a student and say that when my body stops, you inject this and I'll come back again to life? He can't do that, like I told you a little earlier. Scientists cannot discover such things because he has not discovered the soul. So Sir Isaac Newton, Sir Jagdish Chandra Bose, P.C. Raya, and all these scientists, they have discovered so many things, right? And so Srila Prabhupada is saying that when the body stops, will they be able to find out how to inject life into it again? So that is actually the intelligence behind the body is working. Scientists are working, philosophers are working. All this is because of, is the working under the spell of material nature. That's what Bhagavad Gita tells us in 3.27, right? We had learned Prakrite kriyamanani guna karmani sarvashaha ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. Because the soul is bewildered, it's coming under the influence of material nature. He thinks that he is doing all these things. But Prakriti by nature, it's working because of the guna, because of the three gunas. Why not everybody is a scientist? Why not everybody? So Srila Prabhupada is trying to get us to understand that if it is accidental and it's automatic, why there are so many differences? So one is a scientist here, one cannot understand, he's not a scientist or he's a fool. So why the distinction is there? It's because of Prakriti has made these differences because of so many reasons. So Prakriti is Maya Dakshena. So Krishna is saying that, and this Prakriti is under my supervision. The material nature is working under my direction, of son of Kunti. 9.10 Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, and it is producing all the moving and unmoving objects. And by its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. So Krishna says, under my direction, this Prakriti is working. So the Prakriti is nature, is the agent. The real worker behind it is Krishna. So we are simply instrument. That is our position. And if you have got intelligence, then you understand that you are actually just an instrument. So just like a hand, it's just an instrument for the whole body to do things. The hand can pick up, so this understanding that you are just an instrument is very important. People who don't understand that, they are ahankara vimudhatma. They are under the false ego. I am scientist, I am follower, I am the philosopher, I am Rockefeller, I am businessman, I am Swami, I am this, I am poor. So you are simply an instrument. That is intelligence. To know that is intelligence. Therefore, you should work as Krishna desires. This is real. If you work in Krishna consciousness, that is a real intelligence. And if you work against Krishna, it is foolishness. So it's going on this discussion, but when we come to the later section of the chapter, we will be able to understand more easily when we get this part of it. That's why we are dwelling more on it. There's one more example which Srila Prabhupada is giving here. He's saying that jnana means knowledge. So as far as knowledge is concerned, if you want to make research, who made this packet, who discovered it, in which country it was introduced, you can write volumes and volumes of books about material things, but you can write, but that does not mean that the person has knowledge. So Krishna gives here a very nice example. Hello? 1 minute. I'm in a class, man. You're going to know. So this is practical. In my youthhood, I was a manager in a big chemical firm. So this is an example Srila Prabhupada is giving. Let's understand. So he says that Srila Prabhupada is giving us example of his youth. So when Srila Prabhupada was a young man, he was actually the owner of a big chemical firm. And there was all sulfuric acid chamber. There was some defect. It was not working. In that chamber, sulfur is given. It is fused and the acid comes out. It was not working. So there were many scientists. They were sitting. They were consulting books. Why is it not working? Then the managing director, Dr. Bose, who was an intelligent man, he went to another firm. This was also chemical, and he knew there was an ordinary worker. He was very experienced. He was a Mohammedan. He called him at once. Just come and see what is the defect here. And he at once came and manipulated some machine part and some acid transformed. And all the theoretical scientists who were busy in the theory, they didn't know what to do. So this kind of experience you will find even in ordinary people. Even in birds, you will find Srila Prabhupada is saying they have got some specific intelligence that is not, but that is not knowledge. We'll find even in animals, there are some wonderful activities which we cannot perform. But that is not knowledge. Knowledge is to understand only one thing, difference between spirit and matter. In this material world, that is the only realization we need to gain. What is spirit? What is matter? Just like after intellectual research, you find that there is something working in this body. Without this body, it is useless. Then when you come to knowledge, this is this, this is that, is what is real, what is eternal, what is permanent, what is spirit, what is matter. So here, Srila Prabhupada is explaining that, suppose a tape recorder, a microphone, it's working because a boy with a spirit soul has touched it, has switched it on, or has created it. So therefore, we must distinguish this difference, and that is knowledge. No matter what not that matter is prominent and spirit is neglected. So coming back to so he says Krishna's Srila Prabhupada is saying that in the present education, a few persons who are there who are actually in knowledge because they have neglected the spirit side of activity. They are giving only importance to material side of activity. So if you come to Bhagavad Gita, it is a civilization of fools, you may call. Srila Prabhupada is explaining how we have a civilization of fools right now because they give so much importance to the motor car, the machine, but not to the driver. The driver is being neglected. They give so much importance to the body and the different recognitions. The soul is neglected. So Srila Prabhupada says when he was a child, he was a student in the Scottish Churches College, and he read one magazine from the US. He says that I think that he says that the magazine is probably still there, and in that magazine he saw a picture. It was of a skyscraper which was beginning at that time. A man was working very heartily, and the picture there is saying is there that for manufacturing matter, a soul is being killed. So that is material civilization. They're not giving stress to matter or material side. They're giving stress to only that and neglecting the spirit. So Srila Prabhupada is explaining that is not civilization. You need to give importance to spirit, soul, and because it is an active principle, and that is knowledge. A man is to be understood to have knowledge when he is giving. That is, he gives importance to the spiritual side. He is called a jnani. Others are all fools. Jnanam is chit achit vastu vivechanam. Understand what is matter and spirit. So civilized, really advanced civilization, the Aryans are called civilized. They are called advanced. What is the actual meaning of the word Arya? Simply it means advanced. It's not a particular class. He's saying advanced. So the English word or Hebrew of any other language, similarly the Sanskrit word for advanced is Arya. So he's just clarifying that he's not talking about some class. Now it has become a common word, but originally it is a Sanskrit word, which means advanced. So in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna declined to fight. And Krishna says, you're talking like a non-Aryan. So we all belong to the Aryan family. Historical reference is also there. So Aryan's talk was on, okay, some words missed out there. So the spiritual importance means one has to see how important this human life is. Because in the human life, the spirit soul, although it is conditioned by material, it is engagement, it has developed its consciousness by gradual evolution. So this evolution theory is given in Padma Puran. So there is actually evolution from the lower, that is from the aquatics to plant life to germs, birds, beast life and human life. So fortunately, we have got the civilized form of life. The Aryan family means they are civilized form. But we are utilizing the matter in the matter of maintaining the body. Ahara nidra bhaya maithunam cha hitopadesha. Animals and men, they all are eating, sleeping, mating, defending. But the specific property of humans is that they engage in spiritual life. Without spiritual life, humans are on the level of animals. So we are utilizing this material body, this developed body. The spirit soul has got a chance now to liberate itself by using this body. So by nature's way, the evolution is giving a chance for us to utilize it. And so people are not giving importance. There sometimes we find there is overpopulation. Overpopulation, Srila Prabhupada says, is just like some lower class. The student is promoted, but when he comes to final class, if he does not pass, then the class gets overcrowded. So that is the analogy Srila Prabhupada is giving. Similarly, the present civilization, why is there overpopulation? We are not being promoted to the higher life. We are being blocked. So there is not such intelligence or such knowledge, and they are so proud of their material intelligence. So because these things, God's gift, this knowledge is explained here, Buddhir Jnanam Asammoha. So long, Srila Prabhupada has explained this 10.4 verse. So all these things, right, which we just saw from 10.4 and 10.5, intelligence, knowledge, all these things are gifts of God. They are actually, Krishna says that they are from me. So this human form is developed for utilizing these gifts. And God has given us a lot of nice food stuff. He has given us intelligence. He has given us knowledge. He has given us books. He has given us scriptures of Bhagavad Gita. And we are just supposed to utilize it. Then we can be proud of being an Aryan or a knowledgeable person. Okay, should I skip this also? Right. So I think maybe we can skip these so that we can proceed. So you can always go to Srila Prabhupada lectures, and there are lots of very nice ones related to these verses. So let's quickly go through, understand the qualities discussed in 10.4 and 10.5. First is intelligence, buddhi, the power to analyze; jnanam, knowledge, knowing the distinction between matter and spirit; freedom from delusion, which is asamoha; tolerance and forgiveness, which is kshama, for which we have gone and understood in great detail; truthfulness, which is satyam; and then we have dhamma. Then we have the next one is control of the mind, sama, and we have happiness and distress, both sukham and dukham. All these qualities are being explained by Krishna as they have come from him. So birth, so further in 10.4, 10.5, we also have birth, bhava and abhava; fearlessness, abhayam; the 11th quality is non-violence, and then that is
Mataji, can you put the last slide, please? I was about to take screenshot, but then
yes, Mata. The slides are being shared, no, in the group. This is the slide.
thank you,
Actually,
Mataji.
it's just a list of qualities, Mataji. Can you see it?
Yes, Mataji, I've taken the screenshot. Thank you.
Actually, Mataji, the slides are not being shared in the group. Can you please share them?
Yes, Mataji. The slides are actually supposed to be shared. I'll just...
Even from the beginning, Mataji, it will be a good revision for us if we get the slides.
Oh, yes, okay. I'll share the slides, the PDF forms, yeah.
Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah, you're welcome, Mataji. I'll share it. So, done, Mataji. Shall I move on to the next one? Right. So, in this
Yes,
slide,
Mataji.
right, we are looking at the further qualities about birth, fearlessness, non-violence, equanimity, satisfaction, austerity. And finally, we have the 16th quality given is fame or yasha. So these are all the different things given to us by Krishna. So that is a whole, just a pictorial representation. In 10.6, Krishna is talking about the 7 great sages, and before them the 4 other great sages and the Manus are all born from the mind of Krishna, and all creatures in this planet are descending from the Manu zone. So he talks about how everything is coming from him. He's basically trying to say that he's a source of everything, the father of the grandfather, the Pitamaha, the grandfather, the 25 patriarchs of the living entities, which are the 4 Kumaras, Sanaka, Sananda, Sanatana, Sanat Kumara, the 7 sages, Kashyapa, Atri, Vashishta, Vishwamitra, Gautama, Jamadagni, and Bharadwaja, the 14 Manus. All of these names are there of all 14 Manus, all of them, everything comes from Krishna. And then in this verse, the next verse in 10.7, Krishna says that he who knows in truth this glory and power of mine, he will engage automatically in unalloyed devotional service. Once you know that Krishna is all powerful and he's there within your heart, he's in control of everything, and you simply acknowledge him and you understand that, you will be able to just be in devotional service unalloyed. So next we'll move on to 10.8 to 10.11, which is the Chatushloki. They're very, very important. I would like all of you to try and learn them up. You can write it, put it somewhere and keep revising. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattah sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. Krishna is explaining that he is none other than the source of all the material and spiritual worlds, and everything is coming from him. The wise who know this, we keep saying it by words, even we learn it up, but to really experience it, that he is really there, the source of everything comes from him. For them, the wise people, once you know that, you can be in devotional service with all your hearts. So here we can see little description about from Narayana Upanishad, Varaha Purana, the Narayanad Brahma Jayate, Narayanad Prajapati Prajayate. So this is the how the series goes from Narayana, Brahma is born, from Narayana the patriarchs are born, from Narayana Indra is born, from Narayana the 8 Vasus are born, 11 Rudras, 12 Adityas. So this Narayana, who is he? From whom all these are coming out? He is the expansion of Krishna. So Krishna expands. So this knowledge is not there in most people discussions. You won't find this understanding. The Vedas, Brahmanyo Devaki Putra. So son of Devaki, Krishna is a supreme personality. The Narayana Upanishad tells us that the beginning of creation there was only Narayana. There was no Brahma, Shiva, water, fire, moon, heaven, earth, sky, sun. Nothing was there. Nothing was there. Maha Upanishad tells us that Lord Shiva was born from the forehead of the Supreme Lord. So there are all these textual, scriptural references which tells us how Krishna is the original source of all spiritual and the material worlds. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate. Result of iti matva bhajante mam, result of knowing this, you will engage in constant devotional service and you will surrender. So let's quickly look at a few lines from Srila Prabhupada's lecture. And the source of all spiritual and material worlds, everything comes from me. And so what does he say? If you love your country, then you will love your countrymen. Suppose we are in a foreign country and here is one gentleman in India from India. I am in India. So naturally I'll ask, oh, you come from India? Which part of India? Why attraction for that person? Because I love India. Because he happens to be an Indian. So the love begins from the origin. Similarly, if you are you love your body, you love your finger. You're careless of your body, your health, you don't care for your finger. So therefore, Bhagavad Gita is telling us that Krishna is saying that Aham Sarvasya, everything is come from me. And he says that, so you know where you belong to. Once you know that, you start loving God. Iti matva, once you know that, iti matva bhajanti mam. Once you really understand it from the core of your heart, that you have come from Krishna and he is there, your father. You will understand that very nicely. Then you will start loving everything that has come from Krishna. So that is the ultimate goal of the human life, understanding that everything comes from Krishna and therefore loving everything. If you think that God is just some imagination which human beings have created, then you cannot love, either the universe or God. You have to understand the position of God. In every literature, scripture, even the Bible, God said, let there be creation, and there was creation. So God creates. So if you love God, you will love the universe automatically. I love my body. Everyone loves his body. So it's not like, okay, I don't love my finger. A God conscious person, there is an example, a hunter. Or if you must be knowing there's a vyadha in Sanskrit, it's called a vyadha. He was hunting in the forest, killing animals, boar and other animals. The hunter's business is to kill. And he had this tendency he was called Mrigari actually. He had a tendency to kill them half. So Narada was passing by, said, why are you killing all these people half? Why are you not killing them fully? So he went to the hunter and said, why are you doing this? Better kill them fully. So he says, my father taught me this business. And Narada explains, it's not a good business. You do another business. Simply killing, half killing, you're getting more sins. And then he said, you're committing sins. Then if I give up this business, he says, how will I live then? He says, okay, I will give you necessities of life. I will supply you. You give up the business. So this way, Narada initiated him. He was seated in a sacred place. And the villagers understood that this Vyadha has now become a great saint. And so they started offering him some rice or some flowers. And he was executing devotional service. And after some time, when Narada wanted to show his devotee friend, Parvata Muni, and he was coming to that devotee, If at that time the devotee was going to receive Narada, he was so careful. He was removing all the ants also. He didn't even want to kill ants. That's the power of a pure devotee. Narada asked, "Why are you coming here? Why are you jumping?" He says, "There are ants here. I don't want to kill even the ants." So the same man who was so, rampantly killing people and leaving them half dead, now he had become so kind and gentle through devotional service. He did not even want to kill an ant. So this is, Srila Prabhupada said, this is universal. When you become Krishna conscious, you will automatically become God conscious. The whole universe will be yours. You will understand that Aham Sarvasya Prabhu Mata Sarvam Pravarta, everything comes from him. That knowledge will come. And otherwise, if this knowledge doesn't come, Srila Prabhupada is simply jugglery. There are so many doctrines. Oh, universal love and the UN and United Nations, friendship, fraternity. But what is happening? They're simply fighting. They're simply killing. Why? Because this God consciousness is needed for you to understand this whole universe. The whole universe comes from God and how you will love him. It comes through chanting and developing those qualities. So how can you think that an American gentleman or a lady in your countryman and not a cow and not a goat, not a serpent? So where is your universal idea? So why are they thinking like that? So unless there is God consciousness, all these universal ideas which they are talking in this modern world are actually jugglery of words. So first business, Srila Prabhupada is saying, is to understand Krishna. If you love the root, you love everything. If you water the root or the origin, you are watering everything. So I'm not going to go through all of these lectures today. Let's move on to 10.9. It says, Machita Madgata Prana Bodhayantah Parasparam Kathayantascha Mam Nityam Pushyanti Cha Ramanti Cha. So once you know that he is the origin of everything, what is the next one? The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me, their lives are surrendered, they derive great satisfaction and bliss from enlightening one another and conversing about me. So once you know who is Krishna, and you become Krishna conscious, all your interest is to talk and glorify Krishna among each other. So how does a pure devotee behave? He will be like Srila Prabhupada all the time, only wanting to discuss and to serve the Lord. Symptoms of a pure devotee, Krishna becomes his life and soul, and he constantly hears and discusses about Krishna. There are two stages of devotional service. One is a preliminary stage where they relish the transcendental pleasure from the service itself, and then is the mature stage when they're always in love of God and they relish the highest perfection, which is the Lord's abode. So Krishna is saying in this verse, thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their life is fully devoted in my service, and they derive great satisfaction by conversing about me. In 10.10, Krishna is saying, Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mamapayanti te. So he says that once you are into this movement, into this, Krishna consciousness, you're constantly thinking, talking about Krishna. What does he do for them? Krishna says that to such a devotee who is constantly devoted, loves to listen about me, loves to discuss about me, enjoys talking about me, what does he do? He will give them the understanding. You don't even have to try separately to become intelligent and knowledgeable about who Krishna is. Krishna will give you the intelligence by which you can go back to him, be free from this material cycles of birth and death. But you need to become a devotee. Simply making all lot of speculations and that won't take you to Krishna. Once you surrender with all your love and you understand these some basic concepts and you give yourself to him, you are devoted to him constantly, you love him, he will give you the understanding by which you can come back to Krishna. So these are very important verses to understand the real meaning. It says when a person knows the goal of life but is addicted to fruitive activities, then he's in karma yoga. And that the goal is Krishna, but he is interested in mental speculations, then he is in jnana yoga, because still the goal is Krishna. And the goal is he seeks Krishna and he's in complete Krishna consciousness doing devotional service. He is in bhakti yoga or buddhi yoga, which is the complete yoga or the highest perfection of life. So these are the comparisons given. So we have seen in these few verses how karma yoga is, what is jnana yoga, and what is buddhi or bhakti yoga. So we have just understood that Krishna is giving us in these verses these understanding. Then the last verse of this Chatushloki is तेषामेवानुकम्पार्थं महम् अज्ञानजं तमनाशयाम्यात्मभावस्थो ज्ञानदीपेन भास्वता. And then he further says, such a devotee, once you become the devotee, surrendered devotee, out of compassion for them, what will Krishna do? He is there already in your hearts. He will destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge all the darkness in your heart, which is born of ignorance. So then you can actually see, people who are devotees, you can see how they are always blissful, how they are always kind of smiling, how there's a brightness around them. They don't get disturbed by anything material. That's because they have understood these 4 verses and they've understood basically how Krishna is the Lord. So Lord destroys all impediments. He dispels all the ignorance in the heart with a shining lamp of knowledge. And then we come to the last part, the section C, where Arjuna accepts Krishna's position and he asks for more, I want to know more about you. And Arjuna refers to previous authorities and he confirms Krishna as God. And he says that even previous authorities have said that, oh Krishna, you are the Lord. And you yourself are now saying that. And then he prays to Krishna. He says, I want to hear more about you. When you love someone, you want to hear more and more. You're never tired of hearing. So otherwise, Krishna will remain unknowable. So I think Ravi Prabhu has posted attendance. Many times I can see that there are sometimes 4 or 5 devotees, but when I look at the attendance sheet, I can see only 1 or 2 have filled. So it's like as if only 2 or 1 or 3 devotees have attended the class, but even when there are more. So I request all of you to please come to the chat and please fill in the attendance link for today. And I hope you're all doing the quizzes. Please, I know there are a lot of messages coming in, but do spend some time to go through them, go through the quizzes and post your attendance. So should we end today? 10.12 to 18 we shall do tomorrow. We'll do the rest of the chapter 10 tomorrow because it's already time. And I started also late today. Hare Krishna. 10.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes, Vidya Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Videsh Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
You've come after long. I haven't seen you. Hare Krishna, Ravi Prabhu. Roma Mataji, Virendra Prabhu, Prabhakar Prabhu. Thank you so much for joining the class
Hare
today.
Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Roma
Thank you
Mataji.
for the class.
Thank you so much. Tomorrow, please join. We'll complete class 10. I hope you've marked the attendance. Vancha kalpataru vyasya kripa sindhu evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna. Tomorrow is Ekadashi. Happy Ekadashi for tomorrow in advance. Please try to chant more tomorrow. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.